All right, so far we've been digging into ciphers that work by swapping one letter for another. But today, we're looking at a totally different, and you could argue a much more clever way to hide a message. Let's see what happens when the secret isn't in the letters themselves, but in where you put them.
Really think about that for a second. Every single cipher we've talked about, from Caesar to Vigenère, is all about substitution. But what if we just didn't do that? What if we kept all the original letters but just shuffled them all around?
Okay, let's start with something we all know. Our plain text is just the word hello. Nothing tricky here, just 5 letters we see every day in an order that makes sense.
Now look at this. The H, the E, the 2 L's, and the O, they're all still there. Every single letter is accounted for, but they've been completely scrambled. And that is the core idea we're going to unpack today. This is what we call a transposition cipher. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's really just a fancy way of saying we're shuffling the deck. The letters themselves are never replaced, they are simply moved to new spots based on some kind of secret rule. The final message is just a permutation, a reordering of the original. So look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, make it this sentence. It's the whole idea in a nutshell. The letters stay the same, but their order changes. Simple, right? But as you'll see, it's an incredibly powerful concept. And this shift in strategy is a really big deal. It puts transposition ciphers in a completely different league from substitution ciphers. So let's make that distinction crystal clear. Here it is, side by side. A substitution cipher, like the Caesar cipher, hides the identity of the letters. An A becomes a D. But a transposition cipher, it hides the structure of the message. The letters are all out in the open, but their original sequence, the thing that gave them meaning, is gone. We've shifted from hiding content to hiding order. So how does this actually work in practice? Let's go back to our hello example and walk through it, step by step, with a really, really simple rule. The process is super straightforward. Step 1, we start with our plain text, hello. Step 2, we apply our key. Now, the key here isn't a shift number, it's a rule. Reverse the order. And when we apply that rule, we get our ciphertext in step 3, ale. Simple as that. And this is a really crucial point to get. In transposition, the key isn't a secret letter or a number you add. The key is the secret pattern. It's the blueprint for how you're going to shuffle all those letters. Okay, so this might seem almost too simple to be safe, right? But transposition ciphers have this incredibly clever side effect that made them an absolute nightmare for early code breakers. Just look at the numbers. If we count the letters in our original word, hello, we've got 1 H, 1 E, 2 L's, and 1 O. Now, what about our ciphertext? Ale. Well, what do you know? The count is identical. The letter frequencies haven't changed one bit. And there it is. That's the mic drop moment. The main tool for breaking simple substitution ciphers, frequency analysis, is completely useless here. You can count the letters all day long, but it won't give you a single clue because none of the letters have actually been changed. And this wasn't just a small problem for attackers, it was a brick wall. It basically forced code breakers to throw out their entire playbook. You couldn't just hunt for the letter E anymore. You had to start looking for patterns in the chaos. But of course, no cipher is perfect. And that clever little trick of keeping the letter frequencies the same, well, it also creates a brand new kind of weakness. So that leads us to the big question. If frequency analysis, the most powerful tool in the shed, is off the table, does that make this cipher unbreakable? The answer is not even close. The very thing the cipher tries to hide, the structure of the language, is also its undoing. Even when everything is jumbled, an analyst knows that certain letters love to hang out together, and they can start looking for ways to reunite them. Even in all that mess, attackers are not flying blind. They start looking for statistical clues, not in the letters themselves, but in their new positions. They test for common word patterns or repeated arrangements. And the shuffling rule itself, the key, creates a pattern. And if there's a pattern, a smart analyst can eventually find it and break it. Now, just a quick heads up. For this explainer, we're keeping it high level. We're not diving into specific, complex methods like columnar transposition or the math behind it or all the nitty-gritty techniques used to actually break these things. We'll save that for another day. All right, let's bring it all home.
If you're going to walk away with anything, here are the key things you need to remember about transposition ciphers. Just remember these 3 things. 1, it rearranges the positions of letters. 2, the letters themselves are never, ever changed. And 3, its whole goal is to hide the order of the message, not the actual content. This is a cipher of structure, not of substitution. The idea is simple, but breaking it, that takes a whole new way of thinking. So the real question becomes, how on earth do you find a hidden message when all the right letters are sitting right there in front of you? Well, you'll have to join us next time when we'll see exactly how attackers learn to find patterns, even in chaos.